So this is a Golf, but not like other Golfs. It's got a secret. You see, it has this badge, E-Golf. Means it's electric. This is an electric powered Golf. There's no petrol engine, there's no exhaust, no nothing. Yet, well, it looks like a normal Golf, doesn't it? You see, most of the time people want to shout about their electric car, and so they buy things that look like a Leaf or, you know, and BMW i8. But this, it's Golf with fancy alloys. So driving the E-Golf is no different than driving a Golf, apart from the silence. There's no engine noise. But everything else is the same. It feels like a DSG box. You know, the dashboard layout is pretty much the same, except for the rev counter has been replaced with a sort of an energy meter thing. It tells you whether you're charging or discharging the battery. And the radio is a big touchscreen affair. It's the top spec touchscreen. And it does have some information about your driving style and, you know, how many miles you've got to go before it's empty and that sort of information. The one thing I've found with the Golf so far is that I'm not so concerned about range. I looked down, it says 107 kilometers at the moment. I've used a little bit of electricity getting out here this morning. I started with a full tank. It'll probably do about 150 odd kilometers. That's very good. It's good for a Golf. It's good for an electric car in general to be able to do that kind of thing. One thing I do notice is that when you decelerate, when you take your foot off, you don't actually get any resistance from the car. It's set up in such a way that allows the car to just coast along. You can add resistance by moving the gear stick to the left. When you move it down one, it goes to recuperation level 1, and then level 2, and then level 3, which feels like the brakes have come on now. As long as you don't decelerate, it's fine. It goes back into D, and away you go. You've also got modes in the system. So I press mode, and at the moment I'm in normal. Now that means that I can cover ground very quickly. And by cover ground I mean actually drive a little bit quick. So there's a car going that way, so I'm going to go straight across here. So like, it's startlingly quick. It actually puts the traction control on regularly. See? Traction control. It's like a go-kart. It just goes up to 10 and away she goes. Now you can change the mode. So you hit mode here and you go to Eco. Eco, when you hit information, tells you that to save energy, the performance and speed are restricted. Air conditioning is reduced. Now that means that the car turns off air conditioning, leaves the heating on, but turns off air conditioning, and allows you to be able to restrict your speed. It's down to about 100 kilometers an hour, so I think it is 100, 120. Which allows you to trundle along. You see my range now has gone up to 118 kilometers, so it's actually risen. Straight away the car knows I've done that. So if I go back into mode again and go for Eco Plus, the information then says, to save energy, the performance and speed are severely restricted. Air conditioning is not available. Now what that literally means is it turns off the heater entirely, so there's no heater turned on at all. Nothing. It's just the cold outside air coming into the car. And your speed is restricted to about 95 kilometers an hour. Also, acceleration is restricted, so if I put my foot down, I don't get much in the way of acceleration. Now, to get energy back, you can use the system of recuperation, which moves the gear stick to the left, you get more recuperation, or you can pull backwards for B, which is engine braking. That really does feel like the brakes have come on, and in actual fact, your brake lights come on behind you as well. So you get as much back into the energy as you possibly can, depending on the mode you're using. Now my range has now gone up to 130 because I put on Eco Plus mode. Now when you brake, of course, you do charge anyway, so as soon as you brake for anything, you'll end up putting charge back in the battery. It's actually a genius system. I do really like this Golf. I do, because it's not shouting at me that I am electric, look at me, I am so eco-friendly that I'm driving an electric car. It doesn't. Even the fuel, even where you put the petrol in normally, the cover is where you plug in the electrics. Nothing much has changed here. This is pretty much as you expect a Golf to be. And if your mileage is like, well, our second car in the house, which would do probably 20 or 25, 30 kilometers a day, which is very little, you will save a packet buying this car. You will, because electricity is very cheap at home to charge with. Now, if you have a night meter, it's cheaper again, but I don't, just normal meter. If you're charging on the street, currently it's free. You use this little card here, this little card, access card thing here for e-golf. You roll up to an electric charge point, you plug in, and it doesn't cost anything. It might cost you in parking. If you go to a petrol station that has, say, a fast charger in it or something, you can't use fast charger on this. This is just one model. You can still plug in there, and that doesn't cost you anything either. I appreciate what VW have done here in a big way. This is something very different. I'm just going to go back in the normal mode because I may need a lot of acceleration here all of a sudden to get out of this junction. This is something very clever that VW have done here. They've made an electric car, but they haven't shouted about it. It's just an electric car. So you can use all the power and all the torque to really get off the line quickly if you want to. I'll go back into Eco Plus because I don't really need any heating or anything. It's frosty this morning. First frost of the year has come to play. The first proper frost has actually hit us, and that's quite good. It's actually good that it has, because you need to kill all them bugs, you know. Get rid of the bugs. Bugs kill you. Bugs get to you after a while. I'm very impressed with the Golf. I mean, it's a proper alternative car to the Golf. You could buy a Golf diesel and a Golf electric for the second car. You could buy, you know, any of the electric cars are out there at the moment. They're all kind of in your face electric, you know, it's in your face. You're going to know that I am driving an electric car. There's lots of blue things on it and all. This doesn't really shout at you. It's got some LEDs and stuff in the front that aren't standard. It's specifically for the Golf, and the alloys that are on it are also specifically for the e-Golf. So there is a couple of little touches, but in here in the cabin, no one's really going to notice, apart from the lack of noise. Would be the only thing they'll really notice now, I think, because it's very, very, very quiet. Listen. That's mic up and full bore. Of course, that does depend on the surface you're driving on and things, so, you know, it is surface dependent. But I think it's just one of the quietest cabins I've been in. So, top marks for the VW Golf Electric. It is electric car done properly. So this has been Bob Flavin for independent.ie.